Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to the Monday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're running a little bit late, but that's all right. I blame Matt Ford and I for getting into a conversation about nothingness, and then all of a sudden I looked at the clock and it was like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to be typing a lot of the hellos tonight, but we'll start off with, let's see here. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position, Timothman and Jimmy Gonzalez with the silver and bronze. We got Jimmy Gonzalez and Karen in the Woo Train, 70th birthday. Thank you, Karen, for the love. I'll sing you happy birthday a little bit later on in the show. Dino Bravo, Robert Lamont, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Chris 716. Missouri Man is here. Missouri Man is, let's see, we'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Les Paul Holland, Ruth Kleber, Kathleen Hughes. Kathleen will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Let us get the radio side going here. Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio on the radio podcast side. Dave Scott is my name. Matt Ford is here. We're talking UFOs and the politics behind it tonight. I hope you will enjoy the show. Hello, Bill WD-40, as you lube it up for tonight's show, because we always want to go in nice and smooth. Brown Dwarf, Lee the Bee, Dragonfly, how are you? Blasty Powwow, welcome to SOR Chat. Silent Listen, Lee the Bee, and Lightwalkers. Lars Janssen wearing a cool number 22 tonight. Mama Catherine, mwah, love you. T-Bone, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. And Bobbert, you're back. Nice to see you. Roger Murray, thanks for coming on in. High Flat 6. And here we go. Right now, horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight as we are going to get into what is happening in the UFO world, because there's a lot of politics out there. Matt Ford is going to join us here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton has another great story from Among the Missing. Follow up with that, Courtney Marcassani will be here with the UFO Report. Matt Ford is the host of the YouTube channel, The Good Trouble Show. It's a great podcast if you want to check out what's going on in the UFO world. It was about 18 months ago where the Democratic commentator took on the subject of UFOs to his audience. Seeing the importance of this very topic, Matt believes UFOs and potential ET contact in the future needs to be discussed now, and he's become a pivotal player in this all, and we're glad that he's a good friend of Spaced Out Radio. Matt Ford, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. How you doing, my man?
I'm very well, Dave. Thanks. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I just finished the longest show I've ever done, 3 hours on the air. It was, and I'm glad. I totally lost track of time. I'm glad you texted me, so I wouldn't be tardy. But it's great to see you. And I have to say, every time I see you, I swear to God, your beard is getting better and better.
Well, you know what? The problem when you have a white beard like I do is kids still call you Santa Claus.
I was about to say, yeah, that's Santa Claus could learn from you, I would say, with those serious beard building skills.
Well, you know what? I'm at the point right now. I'm trying to keep it on until our fan party in Reno in May. I don't know if I'll make it. I really don't know. It's driving me crazy right now.
Do you use any product in it?
Oh, I always have beard oil around the.
There you go. All right.
You have to massage it in every now and again, but no, it's just driving me crazy. So I don't know how long I'm going to go with it, but I'm going to try and get it going until May at least. I don't know if I'll make it, but yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
How are you? It's great to see you.
You know what? I am great. We haven't had a good conversation in a long time. You've been a very busy guy going all over the United States and Europe. And I've been sitting here waiting for the snow to fall in Canada, waiting for my Sasquatch to come out and appear. But that never happened this year. But nonetheless, it's busy. There's always something to do when you host a show like this, because you try and bring in new guests and new voices and new opinions and new everything. And for you as well, I mean, you are so involved on the political side of this story from what's happening in Washington, D.C. How have you been able to keep everything in check?
Not doing a very good job of it, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I think, and I've worked in television for a very long time. I think that a lot of people have no concept or have very little concept, I'll put it that way, of what it takes to put these shows together, behind the scenes, all of that prep work that you have to do, finding guests and finding the right guest. And I'm doing a fraction of the shows you are. I mean, a tiny fraction. So man, my hat is off to you on how well you pull it off.
Well, you know what? I have a bunch of radio stations that are very much in need of our programming, and the numbers keep going up and up. And that's the main thing, is more and more people start to tune in. But what I found is funny is I can have the most immaculate show with a voice on, say, consciousness or out of body experiences, and my numbers drop. Everybody wants UFOs. Everybody wants monsters like Bigfoot and Dogman. And if I only did those two types of shows, man, everything would be great. But, every now and again, you just need a break. Yeah. You need to move on to something a little bit different and try and do what you want to do. Then you got to find your place because, I've discussed this with you before. This show here is a little bit more entertainment than it is about going hardcore news, but you got to bring in that hardcore news every now and again in order to justify the story that you're trying to tell. So, just like you have to find the right guest, but you can't keep bringing on the same guests, even though you're like, that guest that I had 2 weeks ago would be perfect for this.
Right.
But I need another voice. And that's what we try and do, man. Just like you.
It can be a slog or whatever that word is sometimes, but and I don't know about you, but I was very mean, not surprised, but yeah, a little surprised and let down with what happened with the Schumer amendment. I feel that the timing of it and that piece of legislation was written so well. Man, I have to admit, it kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit after that happened. But I'm getting back in the fight.
See, I would love to talk to you about that because to me, that I've never been a UAP guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a UFO guy. And to me, that killing of the Schumer amendment and what we saw really put the final stake in the heart of Dracula. Okay. When
Mick West, or what are you talking about?
No.
Oh.
It finally put the final stake in Dracula there in my quest to decipher the difference between UFOs and UAP.
Got it.
And looking at the old dudes who kind of shut that down. If you look at them, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was involved with that and the higher ups around that. And to me, it really solidified that we're not looking for UFOs. We're trying to protect UAPs because there is a difference. And a lot of people may not understand it. A lot of people may not want to understand it. But if you look at it, Matt, at least in my opinion, okay, and I've talked to a number of insiders about this just to see, am I wrong? Because you always want to do that. And they said I was on the right track, that the whole killing of it was to protect American investment into secret aircraft.
I would say that's probably pretty accurate. I think it probably with sort of all of these things, it's many different facets to it. If you look at the fact that this thing passed in conference on the Senate side, and I don't believe that there was any sort of issue with it at all, but once it got to the House side and Republican Congressman, oh man, I'm blanking on his name, Mike Turner,
Yes.
who, by the way, happens to be congressman in the same district that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base sits in. And because I do think a lot of this, I mean, sure, it's a multifaceted problem. I was at the Seoul conference and I was only able to attend the second day. And by the way, I think you'll be seeing the videos very, very soon from the conference. But there was a considerable amount of talk, especially from Carl Nell and others, that it's a really complex problem. All of us, including myself, want all of this to come out now. There were academics that kind of spoke about the potential problems of all of that, and it really made me stop and think. And at first, when I was there and I was hearing some of these presentations, I was thinking, oh my God, these guys, they don't want disclosure to happen. But at the end, it was actually a very, very great presentation by Christopher Mellon. And he's raising all these questions. Are we, in a very Chris Mellon type way, are we opening a Pandora's box? The geopolitical ramifications, they did some study that found that there is potential for armed conflict for the nation that goes first. Excuse me. And I thought, oh my God, Mellon's going to say we shouldn't do this. But at the end of his presentation, he said, despite all of those things, these are the reasons this must happen soon. And everyone else, the other presentations were very much in agreement. But it really, a lot of what was spoken about, and I think when everyone watches these presentations, it really makes you think. And it really makes you understand that it's a very complex issue. I'm sure there's a lot of secret American tech that has been reverse engineered and deployed to some level. I can tell you that one of my contacts in Congress related that there was concern that the amendment would divulge certain special access programs that can never come out, like period, the
Yes.
end. But, my counter argument to this staffer was, there was a mechanism when in the Schumer amendment that there was a vetting process and there was a vetting process, and there was also a veto by the president that if there was a particular SAP or whatnot that just could not come out for national security's sake, which I would say would not include telling everybody what our true place in the universe is. But certain things related to national security, those had a very clear process for those things to happen. But it was just a shame. And one other point that I'll bring up as well, early on, and I had expressed this to some folks on the Senate, in the Senate, was that I thought that the eminent domain clause would end up being a really kind of a problem for private contractors, aerospace and whatnot, and the potential sort of opening of a Pandora's box in that sense of the government being able to come in and seize property from a corporation or private entity. So you'll hear some people say, oh, well, that was the reason that the legislation was killed. However, they could have easily, Mike Turner could have easily said, you know what, we're going to strike that line out of the law, but the rest of it is fine. They didn't do that. They killed it all. And essentially, I think really the only thing that stayed was something related to having to declare any UAP or UFO program to Congress, but that was really it. They got it, they got it to death. But
yeah, but that was the point. I mean, look at though, Matt. I mean, why would you gut something like that to death? And that's only if you were trying to protect your own toys, shall we say?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I truly do. And where I was going with the soul stuff is there were some really good presentations regarding, and if I remember right, they did touch on potential American tech, but a lot of the presentation set out data on potential consequences that, other than like in a much more detailed way than like, let's say, Biden comes out and tells everybody about it and people go bananas and start hoarding toilet paper. These analyses, they were very, very detailed, and a discussion that there is actually great political risk for the country that discloses first, and the potential for miscalculation from an adversarial country, a potential bad reaction that could generate a military response. The whole thing just it kind of shook me in a way, because it made me stop and go, wow, this really is a fairly complex issue. And it also made me understand too, in some ways, why a president, regardless of let's say reverse engineered tech that we've deployed, regardless of it, it's almost in a way a no-win situation because of the potential consequences. However, what I will say is, there was, and this was part of the case that Christopher Mellon and Carl Nell and others were making, that this had to come out. This concept that I'd never heard of before, between controlled disclosure and catastrophic disclosure. And how they sort of characterized disclosure was taking a proactive role in it, rolling this out in a specific method or order, so that you can best mitigate the potential fallout or unforeseen second and third order consequences. And that coupled with the current geopolitical trend worldwide, they spoke about the numbers, that they've discovered of potential for civil war in the United States with the election. They discussed increased certain percentage increase of nuclear confrontation, various things like that, where all of them were in agreement. The only thing that will provide the ontological shock to shake the world out of this current trajectory that we are in is for disclosure of this reality.
Yeah, but I think they are still trying to hold on to a control confirmation. And it's funny that at Seoul conference that Chris Mellon brought up the Pandora's box, because for years we've been saying on this show that there, inside the Pentagon, there is this Pandora's box of secrets they don't want us to know.
Sure.
And we may try and prove things wrong, okay, or illegitimate, or whatever term you want to use, but until that box is open, we don't know what happened at Roswell. We
Right.
don't know if Eisenhower traded humans for aliens, or any other wild conspiracy theory right up to Bob Lazar is true or not. We
Right.
don't know. Though, and the fact that they're afraid to open up that Pandora's box tells me that disclosure is nowhere in sight. We are going to get confirmation.
And how do you define confirmation versus disclosure?
Disclosure is opening it. It's like opening the books to a business.
Got
You're
it.
gonna
Okay,
you're gonna buy a business. You got to see the numbers, right? You have to see the numbers.
You don't want to buy into the Pentagon's business. They can't account for 50% of their physical assets.
You know as well as I do, they can account for them, but they just don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what it. Yeah.
But the point that I'm getting at is confirmation is that way they get to keep their secrets of what's flying at places like Area 51.
Right.
They get to keep the secrets of where the UFOs are, where the alien bodies are, like David Grush talks about. They get to hold on to full control under this threat narrative that they're still continuing to play.
Yeah, and I do agree with the threat narrative to a great extent. So we may differ on that. But yeah, no, I think you're right. There's a lot of ramifications for them letting all the goodies out, and keeping secrets is what they do. Lying to the public is what they do. It's what the CIA does. They've done it forever. You have the Church Commission, and where they got their pee-pee spanked. So what did they do? They just rearranged the chairs on the deck of the ship and hid it in other ways. I myself, along with Chris Sharp and Josh Boswell, published that article in the Daily Mail describing exactly the sort of illegal activity that the CIA has been up to as part of their crash recovery and back engineering program. I mean, these folks do some dirty stuff, and if they are not going to want that to see the light of day.
No, they are not going to. I mean, don't forget there's a lot of secrets, man. And some of them may be hypothetical, but could you imagine in that Pandora's box if there is a list of names of people who've been taken?
Oh, I'm sure there are. Right?
Yeah. I mean, how eerie would that be to know that your government knows that you're an alien abductee?
Now,
hypothetically.
So extrapolate that out for the legal consequences. So absolutely. You find out that the American government has been well aware of these abductions, and perhaps it was some part of some kind of agreement. The American government has been aware that these things could come in your bedroom and spirit you away, and they didn't tell you about it.
That's right.
Imagine the legal firestorm that the United States government would rightfully be liable for. And it goes back to this old saying: it's often not the lie that's so bad, it's the cover-up.
You got that right. We got under 2 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Matt Ford from the YouTube channel, The Good Trouble Show, is with us tonight. Matt, we're going to get into a lot of topics coming up here later on. I'm hoping in hour 2 we will have some time for audience questions.
Great.
But I want to get to you in regards to all of these groups that seem to be vying for disclosure for dollars. Okay, whether it's the Soul Foundation, whether it's Enigma Labs, whether it's, Avi Loeb's 42 groups that he has put up there. Okay. Are we seeing, in your opinion, a real push for, and I need a minute answer here, we could carry it over when we return, but are we seeing a real push for dollars that just aren't there yet, or that we know are there yet, and the posturing is getting a little ugly right now?
I don't know that I would say ugly. I mean, I'm a liberal capitalist. I believe in making money. I hope one day to be able to make a living off of doing my show, because I love what I'm doing. I love talking about this. So it's really, I would say that there is great financial interest in this. Obviously, this has a lot of money-making potential in all over the place. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing if it's done ethically.
Is it being done ethically right now?
I would say Enigma, I can't tell you about. What I can tell you about is that the Soul Foundation, the CEO of Enigma, was lurking around with her last name whited out with a piece of white tape. Yeah, it was a little creepy, but yeah, I knew exactly who she was. The public may not know, but Soul Foundation, absolutely. The others I can't speak to.
The name Smith is very hard to cover up sometimes. Right, Alex? If you're listening, Spaced Out Radio with Matt Ford continues right after this. Stay tuned. We're going to find out more about disclosure for dollars on Spaced Out Radio. Fire hall just got called. You can hear the siren.
Oh, really? That's not a good sign.
Not at this time of year. No, that means somebody went in the ditch bad on some ice.
Well, Diana Pasulka just retweeted the show.
Nice.
It's caused a stir in the intelligence community. I can tell you that.
Well, we're going to get into that. Trust me.
I can't talk about that part, but yeah.
No, but we're going to get into your show earlier on.
It's really good to see you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
If I can make it out to the thing in May, I certainly will.
Well, we'd love to have you there. We would. It's a lot of fun with our fans and everything. You got a number of people from your chat room listening in right now. So I just want to say hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. If this is your first time listening in, we are a hybrid of a live radio show, of a live podcast, and a live YouTube channel. So due to the radio side of the show, we have to take commercial breaks, shall we say, where we go on break and time everything out for our radio stations. And so you get to see behind the scenes conversations that we have as we continue on rolling here. If you're wondering who the guy is right below drawing a cartoon, that's Dirty Filth. Every now and again, you'll see one of his 46 cats pop up. Usually it's our favorite cat, Blob, that's coming in. But today it looked like somebody else or another kitty. Who was it there, Dirty?
Oh, that was the gargoyle showed up.
Oh, thank you for that.
Nice.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hi, Tokeland. Hi, Ebenezer. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? So anyways, we are a little bit different than what you may be used to. It's okay if you're like, hey, I don't really like this style, but just do us a favor. If you do enjoy, we are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. And we'd appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, because we work really hard to bring in. And we are one of Matt Ford's favorite shows too. So we can tell you that with some truth. No conspiracy there. And Algaray over on Twitch is like, I'm here for a blob sighting. We might get one later. Hi, Amy WC. And so what we were talking about with Matt is our 3rd annual Spaced Out Radio fan party, where everyone is invited, is May 10th through 12th in Reno, Nevada. Hi, JMJ. At the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. We're going to have a live radio show that we're going to put on YouTube and bring up a bunch of our special guests that you'll see on this show. Okay, we're going to bring them all into Reno, and they're going to come say hi to you, like Science Bob or Jim Goodall or Melinda Leslie or Tim Senor or Courtney Marcassani, and many, 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 many others are going to be there just to hang out with you. Then we're going to have a VIP party. So VIP tickets for the weekend are $100. You get a nice big filled swag bag. And of course, you can not be a VIP if you don't want, but then you can get into the VIP party. On the Saturday, we have a live ghost hunt taking place in Virginia City. Right after that, we get back to Reno. We are going to have a live Skywatch with Melinda Leslie, going to look for some UFOs, not the UAPs. We're going for UFOs. So you can come join us. Once again, the $100 for VIP, I highly recommend it because we have nice swag. We really do. And we want to make sure that you get a great weekend. And it's one of those weekends, guys. It's not like a conference. So if you see Jim Goodall running around and you're like, hey, Jim, can we grab some breakfast or can we get some dinner? Jim's going to be like, hell yeah, let's go do that. That's what it's all about. It's about all of our special guests on this show hanging out with you. Okay, you go to a conference, you barely see the people that you want to hang out with. Not here. That's what this is all about. We do this event for you guys, all of you, and I hope you guys come and enjoy it. So go to info@spacedoutradio.com, info@spacedoutradio.com, and reserve your tickets today, if you don't mind. All right. Hello to Dizzy. Good old Dizzy F and Reed right there. Let's go there. And hi, Nikki in Seattle. And thank you tonight to Karen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you. Forrest, Louie, and T-Bone, thank you so much for the super chats. And don't forget, you can shop at Spaced Out Radio's store on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our archives. They're always free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We have Matt Ford here from the Good Trouble Show. We're talking disclosure for dollars right now. And Matt, thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciated. You're a guy who keeps your ticker on the latest UFO news on a daily basis. And one of the things that has come up with a lot of these groups is the disclosure for dollars, where everybody seems to be vying for these dollars for UFO research or UAP research, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's former fighter pilot Ryan Graves, Avi Loeb from Harvard, now Gary Nolan with the Soul Foundation, and many others. It seems like there is a real jockeying for position right now to who can get out front to help out not only the government, but get the UFO word out there on so many different levels, whether we agree with it or not.
Yeah, the thing that I would say to that is that, it's like anything in life. Nothing in life is free. Stuff costs money. and to for instance, Americans for Safe Aerospace, the what they're doing, advocating, talking to people in Congress, all of that takes time, and and employing lawyers to help you write legislation, things of that nature. All of that has a cost. So I'm not surprised, and frankly, if I were in their shoes, I would be doing the same thing. It's even like with my show, I have ads and all that kind of stuff. I got to pay the bills too, and people's time is valuable. And if they're doing good work, legislating or advising members of Congress, writing white papers for Congress, that'll be something the Soul Foundation will be doing. Then absolutely, all of that costs money to do. And I think that there, in general, there is an eagerness of all of these foundations, to have a seat at the table, that everyone, Soul and American Safe Aerospace and others, they all have, I think, a particular thing to offer or set of assets. Enigma, I don't know about that. That's a totally different story. I'm not a fan of those guys.
No, and you know what? We're going to get into Enigma Labs a little bit later on in the show with Courtney Marcassani, because there was a story in the New Yorker about, hey, look at this Enigma Labs, and I'm thinking, you know what? There is no way I'm giving my audience or I would tell my audience, put it that way, to ever give their personal information to Enigma Labs. When Enigma Labs cannot come out clean about who they are and what they're about, sorry, that's real shady. Real shady.
Well, and the thing you have to understand is, so this Soul Conference, there were only, it was an invite-only thing. There were maybe, I don't know, 150 people, something of that nature. But we were all amongst friends, and there was no reason to hide your identity or anything like that. It was amazing the amount of people that I met. I was absolutely floored by the amount of people coming up to me and saying how much they enjoyed my show and were glad of what I was doing and what other people were doing and getting the message out. People like yourself. So if that's the case and everybody's out there not hiding identities, anything like that, why do you have the CEO of Enigma walking around literally, as opposed to all of us? I was sitting next to Ross Coulthard in the audience. I had a really amazing time hanging out with Ross. But the CEO of Enigma is hiding in the back corner and then has a piece of white tape so you couldn't see her last name. It's like, come on, that's like poor CIA tradecraft.
Childish. It's childish.
Yeah. I don't trust those guys as far as I can throw them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure not giving them my data. No way.
It's funny. They were talking about how they had over 300,000 pieces of data, and in this latest report, they have 12,000.
Yeah.
And everything's been shady with them.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that they were trying to buy journalists.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say the journalist's name, but they tried to buy journalists. They tried to buy researchers.
Yeah.
I know in talking to David Marler about it, that they tried to buy his information. And when he said no, they pretty much threw a tantrum on him. Okay. Yeah. And tried to guilt trip him into it. And that's because he had his own files plus the APRO files that he just acquired, which had been, fallen on deaf ears for the last 30 plus years. There was a lot of stuff that's going on. And so the 12,000 that they have are believed to be from people who've given them their research as advisors.
Yeah. It's something's up there. I can't figure out that outfit, but it at surface level it appears shady as hell. So
then you choose a PR person who's never worked a day in media.
Oh, really? Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to pull here?
Well, and the thing that's amazing is knowing who is behind this Enigma thing. I mean, it's like a freaking fire hose of money, uh, endless amount of money that they can pour into this thing. And just the whole thing, it just, and actually, my hat's off to you, Dave. I was like, oh, these people sound cool. And yeah, sign me up until I watched one of your, I was watching or listening to one of your shows where you were talking about it, about Enigma. And I'm like, oh man. And then I started digging into it. It's like, whoa, I don't know about that. I'm
Well,
staying away.
I mean, when you could go on their website and they don't have a single name of a person who is on there,
Right.
that bothers me.
Yeah.
Where's your
What,
information going?
what,
Where are
yeah.
they taking it? Who are they giving it to? Okay. And I just don't like people like that who are trying to play off people's, some of these stories are so personal to people. Okay. And you're trying to play off of their emotions for your benefit. That, to me, uh, that's not upfront. Okay. If you're not going to tell me who's answering the phone or who's calling me, if I have to go, this is agent XYZ or Z if I'm calling in the United States, okay, from Enigma Labs, can I have your name and number, phone number, where do you live, what's your address, what's your phone number, what's your email, where do you work, how many children do you have? Who are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's just, it is, why you would have a page up on LinkedIn where you have a pseudonym for your CEO and all these these folks hiding their identities. You have to ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why is it so? And I think I saw Alejandro, whatever his name is, post something that said that they're afraid of harassment or something like that. Give me a break. I mean, that is the biggest load of BS I think I've ever heard. So yeah, as far as Enigma, I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. And here's a really weird thing. So for a while, I did have the Enigma app on my phone back before I heard heard what you had to say, and then I removed it. And I think later on, because I didn't talk about my UAP and UFO encounter, UAP encounter, whatever you want to call it, for quite a while. And, and then I finally went public with it. And I spoke about it. I think I spoke about it on your show and in a couple other places. But this is bizarre. I get on my Facebook. So after I had done this and the Enigma app is off, I get this DM from Enigma saying, tell us about your, log into the Enigma app to tell us about your UAP experience. How creepy is that?
That is extremely creepy.
Yeah.
Extremely creepy.
I didn't reach out to him saying, hey, here are my UAP encounters. Out of the blue, I get a DM on Messenger from the Enigma account.
Right. And that's not a comfortable feeling.
No, it's creepy.
Yeah, absolutely creepy. Matt, I want to change subjects here because I want to get into what you were talking about on your show earlier tonight. People can watch it on YouTube at the Good Trouble Show. You had a topic of discussion with a gentleman named Rob Heatherly, who I know behind the scenes of ufology. He's always been a good supporter of Spaced Out Radio. But you actually brought up a very troubling subject that I never knew about. And it was about Wikipedia and skeptics who are going on Wikipedia pages and ruining profiles of people. Am I getting that right?
In essence, yeah. I mean, they would. I'm sure they would characterize it in a different way. Let me first start out. All of these debunkers, they've always made fun of our UFO conventions and all of that kind of stuff. It turns out that it's not really the debunker community. I mean, it is and it isn't, but it's all under this umbrella of skepticism. and they have these like huge freaking conventions, neighborhood meetings, all of this of where they all meet. So what Rob Heatherly discovered, and we've talked, I've talked about this, I think, with you many times off the air. There always seemed to be this weird coordination of articles and debunkers putting stuff out, like right when something big happens or right before something big happens, like a UAP report or something like that. Something comes out that just happened. The timing just happens to be great. That is there to poison the well. It happened right before David Grush testified at the House Oversight Committee. I believe it happened with one of the I think it might have been the UAP task force report, but all of it just, there's all this like weird stuff that seems in perfect coordination amongst these debunkers. So Rob began noticing this, but what he was noticing was that on Wikipedia, on all these different pages, they were highly skewed with a bunch of debunker stuff on there. And Rob had edited Wikipedia. He had been a Wikipedia editor, so he knew how all of that works. There's the front end of Wikipedia, which is very user friendly, and then there's the back end where all the editing occurs. And it's it's kind of like learning a new language. It's somewhat complex. There are all sorts of ins and outs and rules. You really have to know what you're doing. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You have to know what you're doing in order to make a edit on a Wikipedia page and have it stick. So one of the other things about it too, if you're and I don't understand a lot of the ins and outs, but as a Wikipedia editor, if you're editing Wikipedia, you have certain ranks. And if you're starting out, you don't have as much sort of pull, if you want to say. So a more senior editor can come in and pull your comment. So the more you edit and the more you know what you're doing editing wise, you start to work your way up the ranks as an editor on Wikipedia until you start being given administration privileges. So what Rob found out is that excuse me, I was literally on the air for 3 hours, so I'm losing my voice a little bit.
You're doing great.
So what Rob discovered is that there is this highly organized group called the Guerrilla Skeptics, and it's run by this lady named Susan Gerbic, who has this 501(c) nonprofit here in California called About Time, and it's under this umbrella that she has this group of guerrilla skeptics. And what they are, excuse me, it's a volunteer group of Wikipedia editors that target pages relating to anything that they consider pseudoscience, such as UFOs or ghosts or anything like that. So she's currently, and she stated this in a video from this big skeptic convention, that she's got over 150 Wikipedia editors that are going out and rewriting these Wikipedia pages. So what Rob did is he went and started looking at all of these Wikipedia pages and found that it was a core group of people that are part of her organization that are hijacking these Wikipedia pages and rewriting them. So, for instance, there was a web page. I think it was. I don't remember which Wikipedia page. I have to go back on the show. But there was one. It was either related to ATIP or OSAP. This group has literally edited hundreds upon hundreds of pages with tens of thousands of edits. And this is no exaggeration. You can look up the metrics. And for instance, what they would do is this one Wikipedia editor it might have been on George Knapp's page or somebody like that, but they had listed references to support the Wikipedia edits that they had put in, and it had all of these scientists. So this debunker group went in and went into that page and removed all of the titles out of the citation. So as opposed to it saying Dr. Dave Scott, it said Dave Scott. It removed, and Diana Pasulka recently retweeted our show about this. Academics, scientists, they are going and they are targeting these pages and they are removing their accolades. So removing doctor, removing all of these things that give these people a legitimacy. Ross Coulthard, journalist Ross Coulthard, has been massively targeted by these folks, removing his the journalistic awards he's received in Australia. They amplified and mischaracterized an incident where it makes him look like he had some kind of violent past. I mean, they have absolutely disparaged these folks. Dr. Hal Puthoff, they went in there and put something in there about pseudoscience, or that we aired all of this evidence, and poor Dr. Puthoff is going in there trying to correct his Wikipedia page. And every time he goes in to do it, this group of debunkers, this organized group being run out of a nonprofit in California, goes and they pull his edit out. And but because they have the seniority, they know Wikipedia backwards and forwards. And this lady running this group, part of what she does is she trains these people in how to do this on Wikipedia. She talks about this in her videos. She talks about, come on, join Guerrilla Skeptics. We will put you through like a 4-week training course on how you can go and edit pages on UFOs or ghosts or Sasquatch or anything. We'll show you how to do it, and we'll show you how to make your edit stick. And it's an abomination of what the free press is supposed to do.
That's a lot of hate.
And
a lot of hate.
And the amount of hate, and when you look at, and this I had no idea about until Rob Heatherly brought this up. So you can go and you can look at the Wikipedia edits, and on the show we showed people how to look up who the editors are in a ranking. So there's this one particular editor named Lucky Louie, who it looks like he has a 9-to-5 debunking job, writing stuff for Wikipedia, and I'm sure writing a bunch of other stuff and doing videos about debunking. And there is this whole crew, this mob, that is going through, and I'm just going to read some of the pages that we spoke about on the show. And this is
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to run it down right now. These are all the pages that they manipulated on Wikipedia: ATIP, OSAP, Skinwalker Ranch, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Ross Coulthard, George Knapp, Pentagon UFO videos, David Grush, Harold Hal Puthoff, Linda Moulton Howe, Bob Lazar, Lou Elizondo, Gary Nolan, Jacques Vallée, Leslie Keane, Ralph Blumenthal. This is barely scratching the surface of what these people have been up to, and it is wrong. It belongs in the gutter, and frankly, it's perverse.
Is there any word from Wikipedia, or has any of these people complained to Wikipedia about what is going on with this guerrilla tactics or whatever it's called?
Yeah, so Rob brought up that they have been brought up on an arbitration board. Susan Gerbic and Lucky Louie and these others. One main debunker named Rob Palmer, who's very famous in the skeptic community. I mean, he's absolutely huge. He was banned from making certain edits on Wikipedia because of the negative things that he was doing. But Wikipedia basically said, it gave him a spanking and said, play a little bit nicer. You guys are doing a lot of Wikipedia edits, so go have fun. It's unbelievable.
I just can't imagine what it's like just sitting around wanting to trash people on the internet. I mean, to me, that just sounds like a real waste of time.
It's not if you're getting paid for it.
Okay, so do we know if there's any government or alphabet agencies involved in this? Because we know that there are alphabet agencies that do not want the UFO story out or the cryptid or paranormal story out.
I don't know. And one thing I want to make clear, we did not state who, with the exception of Rob Palmer, who we sort of correlated from a video that Susan spoke about. And that username on Wikipedia is RP 2006. Rob did speak about one person that is out of that outfit that has an alias that was traced back on what's called the SAM website. It's a government website that you can look up a name and find out if they're a federal contractor, and he found a match.
Wow.
But it's something he said he needed to dig into it a little bit more. He didn't say who it was. But again, you ask yourself, why would you spend all this time, infinitely more than what you and I do on this subject, debunking this stuff and not get paid a ton of money? Because it's a full-time job.
Well, we're going to find out when we come back here. Let's continue this conversation with Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show. We are 1 hour in. We have Matt Ford for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio. And we're going to continue with the ugliness that is going on in the UFO world. And it all ties to politics and what's happening. We're going to try and fit in some audience questions as well. So if you're in our YouTube chat, please put your questions in capital letters. Spaced Out Radio continues with Matt Ford, our special guest tonight, right after this. Stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, Matt, we are clear. I'm going to bring up Dirty Filth here. Go over his cartoon and everything. Give your voice a little bit of a break for about 5 minutes, okay?
I am. I'm going to go get a tea, try to get my voice back.
All right. We got about 5.5 minutes.
Okay.
Dirty, it's up to you now, man.
Oh, boy. I've got controls of the ship. This isn't going to end very well, everybody. Hold on to your butts. So I decided I was going to draw. I've created all of the cats or space frogs. They're a species of space aliens. And this is the first contact with humans and the space frogs. So we have the gremlin gesturing for cat snacks. And the spaceman is reading Houston, requesting more snacks. Repeat, we need snacks. Blob is currently passed out with Mrs. Filth. She made a whole bunch of soap tonight. Might not be my birthday, but I'll have a shower later. I decided to go with space frogs because I needed some kind of regular animals, and trying to draw an alien that's a cat didn't work out very well. So you can just take a cat, throw a spacesuit on it, call it an alien. Problem solved. Oops. My squeaky old chair. Happy birthday. Oh, no. Sorry, John, it's not actually today. I share the same birthday as a Roman emperor and a popular rock musician. It's in September, by the way. That's the best I can give you. Hi, Brown Dwarf. Hi, Bob Berkins. Oh, yeah. Hi, Lovey, Kira, everybody else. Tim's Beard, all you great people. Ooh, by the way, here, I put the link in the chat room to my calendar. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. You might have to just copy and paste it. But I have a third calendar out, and I've hit a little bit of a snag with my book. My Web Witch's computer, it cratered, to say the least. But you can also go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com, and scoop any book from there. Maybe one for your mom, one for your crazy uncle. Yeah, I love. Bob used to always like looking at my hands, so I always give him a hand job so he can have a good look. Look at that, nice and smooth. Never worked a day in my life. That's why I draw cartoons. Oh, Tim, it's lulu.com. Crap, I put the link in. I don't know if it worked. I'm still getting used to all this internet stuff. Let me try it again here. I don't know if that's coming up or not. I got two computers I'm working with here, so you'll have to bear with me here, folks. Oh, John's the crazy uncle. I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews. It was actually kind of funny. My pal shaved his dome one day, and then he come downstairs, and his kids are like, "It's Uncle Klaus." Sorry. Didn't mean to burst out laughing in your ears. The lucky coin. I don't know if I have a lucky coin. I do have a 50-cent piece that I got in Vegas last year. That's pretty neato. Actually, the Cryptid Hunters gave it to me. Oh yeah, there you go. There's the link. Thanks, Tim, and or Tim's Beard. Or a combination of both.
All right. So what's Blob doing in space?
We got the gremlin hanging out. It's the first contact of aliens, feline aliens. I don't know how to draw a Lyran, so I drew a cat, slapped a spacesuit on it, called it an alien.
Very nice.
Works
Very
out
nice.
perfect.
Yes. That looks awesome tonight.
Thanks, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even though the cat looks stoned.
Oh, I don't know. You can't smoke in space. I think there's a vacuum there.
True. True. All right, Dirty Filth.
Sorry.
You always coming on in, my friend.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
You too. Take care. All right. We got about a minute to go here. We want to say thank you to Louis ×2. Or make that, Louis ×2. T-Bone and Karen, the birthday girl, for the super chats. We very much appreciate them. And don't forget, you can go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. We got nice stuff there for you. And, of course, you could join us for only $100 for the VIP tickets for our third annual SOR fan party in Reno, Nevada at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Info at spacedoutradio.com is where you can reserve your tickets right now. Info at spacedoutradio.com. Here we go with hour number 2 of the show coming up right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight. in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quag Swag. Quag Swag is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue on tonight with our good friend Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show on YouTube. And right before the break, we were talking about this not so kind thing that's kind of going around right now regarding Wikipedia and people changing the UFO narrative on people's personal profiles. Now, a lot of the skeptics that are out there, Matt, as we welcome you back, that we hear of, whether it's Steve Greenstreet from the New York Post or Mick West or whomever it may be, there's a lot of people out there who do not appreciate the UFO story for one reason or another. And everybody's allowed to have their own opinion.
Right.
I have my opinion. I would say that I'm biased as an experiencer. And as a journalist, a little bit, I try and keep it as much down the middle of the road as I can, because that's the job.
Right.
Okay. So it's a difficult task. But for many out there who are using this Wikipedia to almost blaspheme these people for having an opinion on UFOs, I mean, this is egregious, my friend.
Well, I want to point out a couple of things. Firstly, yes, people, Lou Elizondo, and Lou provided us a really great statement regarding this. Lou, Dave Grush, and I listed a bunch of them as well, but it's also just pages regarding the subject period. The page on ATIP, the page on OSAP, the page on the Navy UFO videos. I mean, the list goes on and on. And here's the other thing, Dave. This group also creates the Wikipedia pages. This group, the leader of this group, Susan Gerbic, she created Lou Elizondo's Wikipedia page. And why did she do it? So that they can control the narrative. So she created the page and then had her other Wikipedia secret cabal. She literally talks about this on her various appearances, that she has this group on Facebook that is called this secret group on Facebook that is called the Secret Cabal. And it's the Facebook group where all of these editors come in, they coordinate. Here's the thing, there's so much coordination. They literally, before they put up a Wikipedia page, they all sit and team write it and figure out what needs to happen to make it all stick. The other thing they do too is that they focus on the first two sentences of the Wikipedia page and make sure it is skewed towards the debunkers. Because they know that's what the first thing people see. And the other thing that I would point out as well, Dave, Wikipedia is the 7th most trafficked website in the entire world. When people want to go find out about something, they go to Wikipedia. If I have no idea who David Grush is, or Lou Elizondo, or Ross Coulthart, or George Knapp, I'd go to Wikipedia to look it up. And what are you going to see? You're going to see a page that is so heavily propagandized in their favor, it's doing a disservice to anyone that thinks that they're getting a fair and balanced information.
Okay, so is there any talk of lawsuits or any type of legal action regarding this?
Here, I'm no lawyer. I play one on TV occasionally, but what I would venture to guess, because here's the thing: like when you go to Ross Coulthart's Wikipedia page and you remove the awards that he's had, or you reword or you insert words like fringe or I'd have to go back and look at it. But when you do all of these things, you're messing with somebody's livelihood. So when somebody, let's say I'm in America and I want to hire a great Australian reporter, and probably first thing I'll do is go look at Wikipedia. I go look at that and go, well, he hasn't won any awards. He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. When in fact, Ross Coulthart has done all those things. It's just they got removed by this group, 150-ish or so Wikipedia editors. It tends to be about 4 of them out of this group that do this. But if I were Ross, I would absolutely file a libel suit against these folks. And one thing that I stated is that there is law that makes it difficult for attorneys to get user information out of a social media platform. So if they would have to file the libel suit, let's say they filed Ross Coulthart or George Knapp or Lou Elizondo or any of these people that have been hammered by these guys, if they were to go and file a lawsuit against Wikipedia, it would probably it'd be difficult. What I suggested is what you need to do is file legal action against the nonprofit About Time, which is the nonprofit that this lady runs that trains all of these Wikipedia editors. File legal action, and through the process of discovery, you're gonna find out exactly who these people are. And that's exactly what needs to happen. This kind of stuff cannot stand. And it's a slap in the face to all of us that are trying to find the truth, reconcile our own experiences. Here's a good example. So Lou Elizondo has tried to correct his place of birth in Wikipedia. Anytime anybody's tried to do it, it gets pulled out. A lot of people know that you can look at Wikipedia edits and compare like the old version to the new version where they pulled something out or added something in or whatever. But what most people don't know about Wikipedia is there's a thing called the talk page, and there's a talk page per page. And this is where the Wikipedia editors sit and talk amongst themselves about edits. So say one Wikipedia editor put something positive in there about David Grush's military service. And then a senior Wikipedia editor will engage in the talk page of that page. With that other Wikipedia editor, so somebody from the secret cabal goes and says, "Oh, you can't say it's fluffing up." They'll have all these different reasons on why you can't put this stuff in there. So, for the attorneys out there, what you have to do is go and look at the talk pages that your client is involved with or is the subject of that page. You've got to go and you have to look at the talk page that discusses the edits, but more importantly, a part of what this secret cabal does, this guerrilla skeptics, is they go and they archive the talk. So you can take like a bunch of talk messages and you can archive them, and they're a little bit tricky to find. So if you don't know Wikipedia inside and out, you don't know that this stuff is there. But going back to Lou Elizondo, Susan Gerbic, she was in a talk discussion with 2 or 3 of her cohorts that are part of her little thing, and somebody mentioned that Lou was going to seek legal action, and she sat in the talk page and laughed about it. She's like, "Oh yeah, he's not going to do anything." I mean, so attorneys, go and look at the talk page. You will find the clear intent of libel.
How is Rob Heatherly able to find this information? I mean, can any one of us find it, or do you have to be digging really deep into Wikipedia?
So it's tricky, and I'm not saying this to plug my show, but at the very beginning we show you the particular tools you need to use and how to use them. For instance, there's a specific tool that will where you enter the Wikipedia page, and it will display all of the metrics and pie charts for that page. And part of what it will do is it will display the top set of editors of that page. So if you know the people to look for, such as Lucky Ludi, S. Jerbic, RP 2006, Jojo Anthrax, all of these different people that are part of this this mob that are going through and either they're either writing the pages from scratch, like they did with Lou Elizondo. They are writing the pages for their fellow debunkers. So for instance, RP 2006 created Mick West's page and maintains it. When you go and if you go, your listeners right now, or viewers, go and look at Mick West's Wikipedia page, read that top to bottom, and then go and read David Grush's page top to bottom. And it's like, it's two totally different planets. So this group, they write Wikipedia pages for their fellow skeptics and debunkers and make them rock solid in terms of not being able to jack with them. They start Wikipedia pages such as Lou Elizondo, and I think they did the same thing for ATIP and OSAP so that they can control the narrative. They basically have ownership of the page in kind of a roundabout way. Or they go and existing pages where other Wikipedia editors are trying to put in good data, they're going and pulling it out. For instance, they'll say that the Debrief is a fringe media outlet. So therefore, it falls under the WP:/fringe category in Wikipedia. So you can't list a Debrief article. They're doing the same thing with News Nation. They're labeling George Knapp as fringe. I mean, you read this stuff, it makes your blood boil. It is wrong on so many levels.
That is just that is just incredible that like so many of us who go to Wikipedia would never ever think of something like this happening.
It's all over. It's literally like a cancer. And if you go and you look up Susan Gerbic, Gerbic, on YouTube, you'll find tons of videos of where she's conducting workshops on this, where she's speaking at a Skepticon, where she is trying to recruit Wikipedia editors. But more importantly, when you watch the videos and try and watch a recent one, and I'd have to go through the video here, but she talks about the millions upon millions of views their pages are getting. She talks about the number of edits they are making, thousands. And and she lays it all out there. This isn't like you have to go digging for this. She talks about it. In one of her seminars for a local debunker meeting somewhere in California, she talks about how they were able to overhaul the homeopathy page. And she brags that she was able to get in the page in the first 2 lines, quackery. She brags about it. So she goes to homeopathy and makes sure in that first 2 sentences that the word quackery is in there. She talks about a paranormal person, and and I'm sure there are some paranormal people that are bilkers and whatnot. It's like anything in life. There are people that are doing good things and they're doing bad things. But she talks about how this one paranormal celebrity or whatever, they found a felony. Guess what they did? They stuck the felony in that person's Wikipedia page, and she sits and laughs about, somebody sees that they're a felon, they're not going to, they're going to know that this person is, you can't be trusted. Those are the sort of tactics that are going on right now that is defaming people. It's misleading the public. It's manipulating the seventh largest platform on the web, and it's wrong. And there needs to be congressional investigations about this. Anybody that, and that's what my hope is for tonight's episode, is because we laid out everything and we just scratched the surface, all the stuff that have been done to these folks. And I hope to God they contact their attorney and they pursue legal action.
I am really surprised, considering that Wikipedia is a donation site. Every time you go on there, they're begging for donations. And yet nobody from Wikipedia seems to be concerned about this.
No, and that's what I was touching on earlier there. And Rob Heatherly, who my suggestion to you would be to have him on your show next to speak about this, because I'm merely the messenger. He's really the one that's done the work on this. He spoke in depth about how how they were brought up. Basically, you had a group of Wikipedia editors that said what these guys are doing is wrong. And they brought them up in Wikipedia. They have arbitration. That's how it works. So they brought the guerrilla skeptics up for arbitration. And a lot of what happens, they have these Wikipedia editor wars. So her group, who are very senior, they know what they're doing. They know the ins and outs of Wikipedia. They go and railroad these other Wikipedia editors and basically run them out of town. Or if they, Rob spoke of cases where Wikipedia editors tried to push back on edits, and the Wikipedia editors out of this secret cabal went and banned those Wikipedia editors. They have all these different rules, so Wikipedia, people that want to become Wikipedia editors that are trying to do the right thing, correct pages, put in citations that speak to the credentials of a Ross Coulthart or a George Knapp. And then this group, this cabal of gangsters, goes in, rips it out, and then bans the Wikipedia editors that were trying to do something right. I mean, give me a break.
And so if I have this correct, because I'm still very virgin to this entire topic, if let's say there's a Matt Ford page, okay, on there, and it's being edited, let's say, without your consent, do you, as the person who they are speaking of, not have any say whatsoever?
None.
Of what people are putting about you?
And I'll bring up a very interesting point. My Wikipedia page was targeted for deletion back in September, and that doesn't happen very often. So here's the deal. No one owns your Wikipedia page. So Hal Puthoff, that was the issue that he had on his page. He was trying to make corrections that were remove information that was factually incorrect, that was affecting how other scientists perceived him. He did not have, because these people are so senior, and some of this people in this secret cabal have administrative privileges on Wikipedia. They're able to override a lesser editor's edits. So that's how it's done. That's part of how they control it and make sure that only their stuff is getting put up there. It's interesting too. Like, you look at this Lucky Louie guy. When you go through Lou Elizondo's page and look at like the edits that Lucky Louie made, and you compare the edits, this person is interjecting things like ufologist or all these disparaging terms that when you look at it, it completely shifts the tone of the Wikipedia page. It's It's just insane. But yeah, in a long-winded way, no one owns a Wikipedia page. So if somebody puts something in there about me, I can't do anything about it.
Oh, that's just terrible.
It is.
It's terrible.
Well, and and the other thing, I think Rob brought this up as well, is if Wikipedia is a 501(c), a nonprofit here in the U.S., I would imagine in their bylaws, there's something in their nonprofit bylaws that should prohibit this kind of behavior. But I don't know. Maybe there isn't.
I'm actually quite blown away by this.
Me too.
I don't want to sound naive on it or anything like that, because I'd always had my suspicions about Wikipedia, but the fact that there are people who are being literally paid to ruin reputations and careers on Wikipedia, that just seems a little bit that's let me rephrase that, as we got about a minute to go here. Is it happening just within like the supernatural community that this is going on?
So essentially, their missions, their sort of mission. And let me back up a bit. I don't know. I have no evidence that anybody's getting paid. That's just my hunch. But they're anything that they consider pseudoscience, homeopathy, anything paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, Sasquatch, anything that they that falls under, in their eyes, pseudoscience. Those are the pages that their mission is to go and do their thing that they do.
Wow, Matt, this is some breaking news. It's not big news, but it's breaking news that people are actually out there doing this. And I just, like I said, maybe I'm way too naive in thinking about this, but I would have never thought this was going on. And congrats to you and Rob Heatherly for breaking this story and making it happen and bringing it to the public eye, because we don't need that. Nobody needs that. They don't need their own profiles that are being ruined. When we come back on Spaced Out Radio, we have Matt Ford for another 30 minutes. We're going to open up the questions to all of you regarding anything to do with disclosure or Wikipedia news. Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott, continues with the second half of the show right after this. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Tessa Marie was saying here that David Paulides from the Missing 411 series was having problems with lies on his Wikipedia page.
I'm going to go look it up right now. I can tell you exactly. I'm going to look that up right now. David Paulides. Okay. Oops, sorry. Paulides. Okay. All right. I can tell you right now. Yep, totally. So, so his top editor is RP 2006, which is out of that group. This is probably this Rob Palmer guy who's known as the well-known skeptic. So he's the number one editor. Let's see. So that guy, he's made a total of 164 edits on David Paulides' page.
You should actually get a hold of David. Let him know.
That's a good idea. I don't know who he is. Who is he?
David Paulides he has a very successful Missing 411 series of books. He runs a website called canammissing.org.
I will reach out to him. I don't know if I'll be able to get through to him, but yeah.
I'll send you his email.
Okay, great.
Let me see if I still have it here.
Yeah, going through the edit history, it appears that it's And here's the thing: RP 2006, Rob Palmer is not supposed to be editing people's pages, living people. So the last edit he made was on March 4th of 2023.
Okay, give me 2 seconds here because I'm going to send this to your there.
So Miss Tessa Marie, there you go. You've got your answer. I can sit and I can look up any page, any Wikipedia page right now and tell you if it's been hijacked.
Wow.
I can tell you who's doing it, how often they've done it.
Is there a program that you have that you're figuring this out on?
No, it's a set of tools on Wikipedia called X Tools, and you need to sign up for a Wikipedia account, which is not hard. Anybody can do it. But Rob Heatherly, he's got all that.
Wow.
And I can. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to text you the links. So you can put it to send it to your viewers. There's that one, page history, top edits. So for instance, top edits, you can enter a username and find out what they've edited about. So like, for instance, if I look up Lucky Louie, his top edit. So he's also into vintage radio. Ghost hunting, ghost hunters. List of reported UFO sightings. These are all Wikipedia pages. Mothman, Jersey Devil, Pentagon UFO videos, Battle of Los Angeles, Shadow Person, Enfield Poltergeist, Bigfoot, Unidentified Flying Object, Bob Lazar, Travis Walton, Ouija, David Grush UFO whistleblower claims, Haunted Doll, Ancient Alien, Skinwalker Ranch. These are all of Majestic 12. I mean, so Lucky Louie has made a total of 3,676 edits. An average edits of 7.2 on global edit count. Sorry, he's made 26,418 edits. Rob thinks this is Mick West.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to get you hold on right there because we're coming back in 10 seconds. Thank you to Major Louie with a hat trick, T-Bone, and Karen with the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we say hello to Matt Ford from the YouTube channel, The Good Trouble Show. A great show if you want to catch up on the political side of UFOs, UAPs, and disclosure, and many other things. Matt, thank you for being here with us tonight.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here too. I'm going to get some audience questions here because
absolutely
they're very involved with this. And let's start off with Dizzy here, who is asking, how do we fight this on our end, Matt?
So the way you excuse me, the way you fight this is if you're call your lawmaker, call your congressmen or women, and let them know that this is going on and that there needs to be some kind of congressional hearing on this. This whole thing is so expansive. It deserves that kind of attention.
Okay. Well, let's go to another question here, and let's go to Eli. Matt, have you heard any rumors about discussions in Capitol Hill about the release of significant UFO events, example, crash retrievals that occurred in the 50s?
I have not, I'm kind of in the same camp as you, Dave. I'm just not real confident that sort of stuff is going to come out. Part of the sticky wicket of this whole thing is president or whoever comes out and says, okay, UFOs are real. Then the next question from the press is going to be, well, do you have any of these crashed things? And then the next question is Roswell real? Then the next question from the press is, are alien abductions real? The snowball of questions is such that it's gonna questions that are going to make the government very uncomfortable are inevitably going to get asked, which is why I'm just very skeptical that it's. I just don't know how much is going to come out, but no, I don't think anything like that will be revealed.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I wish.
All right. Let's go to attorney to the EBEs. This is Mike here. He's going, hey, Matt, do you support repeal of Section 230, which provides a shield for the tech companies?
So, to be honest, I'm a bit mixed on that. So, how I understand Section 230 is that it is sorry, hold on one second. Losing my voice. It's basically it protects content makers. So, for instance, I've been known, in my previous life for producing a lot of political ads fighting Trump. So, and all of those were on social media, and they were very successful, very well known. It was the mechanism that got me politically connected. But without Section 230, then how I understand it is then Trump could personally come after me. Now, and I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of it. Now, Rob had mentioned a story he read or something that essentially said that if Section 230 is repealed, the amount of damage to Wikipedia's business model is almost incalculable. The legal exposure that they will have, because essentially what it would do, how I understand it as well, is it would make Wikipedia liable for the content that is on there. So if Wikipedia relies on all of these people going and providing them content for free, then that would be the issue. I mean, the same thing could be said for YouTube. So let's say that I put something out there and that is bad or whatever. Section 230 gets repealed, then YouTube would be financially responsible for any damages related to my content. That's how I understand it. Now, on the other hand, in this case in particular, I mean, it would be, if Section 230 is repealed, these folks would be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, wow. Well, let's see if that happens. Let's go to the desolate one. What about disclosure to public? But all government's interest, past and present, is off limit, but we get answers. Would that work for you?
What about disclosure to public, but all interested, past and present, is off limit? I'm not sure that I understand that question.
Well, this goes back to this goes back to when we were talking about the disclosure in part one of the show. In the first half hour, where we were kind of getting into government interests and disclosure versus confirmation, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out in some way. It's either, I don't know if it's through academia or scientists or hopefully some significant whistleblower that is able to provide the receipts. But yeah, I mean, it's got to happen. I mean, there is no way that they're going to put the toothpaste in the tube. The momentum, I think, is such that it's going to happen. But as you'll hear Gary Nolan say often, I love Gary. You don't need Big Daddy government to tell you it's real.
No, you definitely do not. Especially those of us who've had those experiences.
Exactly.
We already know.
We know.
Yes,
There's no
we
question.
do. Yes, we do. We just need those little dudes to just land on my own personal lawn and take me for a ride. That's what I want.
I'm okay. I'm fine. So yeah, the orb showed back up. Funny enough, right at the end of October, I was inside looking for my wallet. I was going to take my wife out to dinner, and she was outside with a friend of ours that had dropped by to visit. And I go walking out there, and our friend is very excited, and he's like, I can't believe what we just saw. And so it's always been a orb that shows up. It's sometimes about 200 feet above the house, sometimes much higher. But anyway, the orb showed up. But what was interesting, and I wasn't there to witness it because it was gone by the time I got out there. But the orb was surrounded by a cloud, and it was a clear night. So surrounded by a cloud that the orb illuminated from inside, but the cloud traveled with the orb as it moved. Anyway, my wife kind of blows all this stuff off. She's like, yeah, whatever, I've seen it once before. But our friend was pretty agitated about it. He had never seen a UFO before.
Well, Matt, I got to tell you, I had an experience last summer with 6 other people where I will say this. We were probably within 30 yards
Wow.
of a landing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I've told many people this, and I credit this quote from you that, you don't want this. And I've heard you say that many a time, and I never quite understood it. And, I mean, I've had some really freaky paranormal stuff that co-located with this, that stuff that frankly wasn't fun. But I mean, I'll be honest, I am totally happy if I don't see another thing the rest of my life. I've seen it, it's been around, 9-10 times it's come here. I don't need to see anymore. I know it's real. That's good enough for me. They can go somewhere else.
Oh, I want to see one again. I made the mistake this summer, or we made the mistake this summer of not running up to it. That's the mistake that we made. And you can't be making mistakes like that.
By the way, I'm glad to see folks donating in their super chats here for Dave's show. But by all means do. Dave's doing really great work. And as I say, nothing in life is free. All this stuff people need your support to put shows on the air like this consistently.
Oh, we do appreciate it. Thank you. And we get a lot of love from our people here.
I love that. Really, you have great viewers.
We do. Handsome.
You really do. I love seeing the comments.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of comments, let's get to another question here from our audience. And let's go to Eli. Question for Matt. Oh, we've asked that one. I apologize.
Yeah,
let's
sorry,
go to
Eli.
Ebenezer here. Big fan of Matt. How did you make the jump from lighting to professional UAP insider virtually overnight? Well,
I mean, that's still that part of my day job, so to speak. That still pays the bills. Like I said, my dream is this show will really take off, and I'll be able to make a living doing it. Kind of the story behind it was I began producing these political videos during the 2020 election. Became very well known for it. Well over 20 million views on multiple political ads advocating to get Orange Man out. And opened a lot of doors for me politically. And at the time, I was looking to get my Twitter account verified. This is before Elon came and screwed it all up. And one of the ways you could do it was by writing an op-ed. And I'd written some op-eds regarding U.S. and Russian nuclear policy, and I was still kind of marginally interested in the UAP topic, and asked in a private group that I'm in, that is a bunch of political movers and shakers, if they could, if anybody had a contact with a certain senator's office. And I was connected with that senator's office, and it literally just grew from there. I think a lot of it is, I think it's probably how I treat the subject. I treat it from a national security lens. I treat it very seriously. I talk to a lot of people in intelligence and former intelligence and people in DOD and whatnot, and all those relationships, and a lot of people on Capitol Hill. And all of those relationships grow out of people knowing that you don't share information, as Jeremy Corbell often says, which is very true. If you want to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy. And and I think knock on wood, I think we've done really great work. And as I always say, this whole subject, it is a team effort. There is room for everyone to be involved in this. There is room for every show that brings their unique perspective to this subject. There is room for everyone. And the more people that are doing things like your wonderful show, Dave, mine and other podcasts, it does nothing but help bring this thing out of the shadows.
And one thing I want to bring up here, that it doesn't matter whether you agree with Matt or myself, or you're not a fan of Lou Elizondo or David Grush. There's a lot of shows that are very counter to that side of ufology, and that's okay. We need those opinions out there.
Absolutely.
We need those countering opinions, in order to balance the news that is out there. It doesn't mean that, just because there are shows out there that are completely different than mine, polar opposite to yours, it doesn't mean that those shows aren't necessary to help bring out a different side of the story. The more information, the better. It's one thing if it's just opinion, but if you get shows out there, and I'll mention one, okay, a lot of people don't like this person, okay, because they think he's too rash, but you look at a person like Steve Cambion, from his show, what he calls Truth Seekers. I may not see eye to eye with that, but I also know a lot of people who help Steve find out this information. He's got a treasure trove of sources that give us the other side. Therefore, to me, it's a very important side to also pay attention to. And we're not saying that you can't have, or that you have to choose one side or the other. This is getting into legal, as you put, almost like slander on what we've been talking about all night.
Yeah, it truly is. And I absolutely agree. And that's part of this whole issue with this Wikipedia thing is people are going out and they're looking for data. They're looking for information that are new to this topic. Maybe their friend told them about it or something like that. And they're getting a very biased view. And Ebenezer, by the way, thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment.
All right. Let's get to another one here. Let's go to Dizzy. How can folks like us fight for the reputations of these disclosure heroes?
Yeah, I think the answer is really simple. Take the time, go in and investigate on your own, and look at the tools and find all of these edits and conversations and put it out on your social media. Expose what these folks are up to. And anybody can do it. It's public information. Once it's on Wikipedia, it can't be deleted. It can be archived, so it's difficult to find, but the information will always be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we're done with audience questions
Cool.
for right now. And thank you to our audience for some amazing
Absolutely.
participation there. In the end, what do you see the goal as here? We see the government playing one side. We see, people like this guerrilla group playing another side. Damn, man, like 5-6 years ago, this didn't exist in ufology.
But believe it or not, it did. This group has been around, I think, since 2010
Okay.
doing this.
Okay. So
How those
I,
apples.
well, no, what I'm saying though is ufology wasn't this ugly, where
Right.
people were literally, to use a horrible term, slitting each other's throats to hurt people or to discredit people, maim people's reputations. It wasn't like that. If we didn't agree with somebody, we would just not bring them on the show. That was the punishment.
I think, I mean, it's probably what Lou Elizondo talked about as far as like breaking down ufology or whatever it is. I don't agree with that, but I imagine he was probably talking about that level of negativity and whatnot. The difference here, there's people Twitter spats and all that kind of stuff. I think that's one thing. I think that's just part of the world we live in now with social media and how people interact with each other. Unfortunately, it's like you can't talk about politics at the dinner table without some kind of fight erupting. So there's that. But then there's a totally different thing when you've got an organized group, large group, going and manipulating a platform to suit their skeptical debunking lens on the of the world.
See, to me, that would sound like online bullying,
you're 100% right. And that's the thing when you look at the edits, you can understand what the intent was, to remove doctor out of all these citations or whatever. But when you go and you read the talk page of where they're discussing all of these edits, I mean, you realize it's complete. It's propaganda. It's propaganda.
All right. Attorney to the EBEs, Matt, do you support UFO caucus regardless of the party?
Absolutely. I'm the screaming liberal your mom probably warned you about. I mean, although I'm more of a capitalist liberal. However, we on our show have been very, very outspoken in giving credit where credit is due. And while I may not agree politically with Congressman Tim Burchett or Paulina Luna or Matt Gaetz, or others, Marco Rubio, these folks deserve credit. It doesn't matter what your party is. This subject transcends any political party, and I completely treat the UAP topic in a bipartisan fashion. That's the way it needs to be. And you listen to Tim Burchett. I've tried to get him on my show, but his staff keeps giving me the runaround for some. I don't know.
Us too.
Yeah. Anyway. He goes out of his way when he is held, like when he had that last hearing, he goes out of his way to compliment the Democrats that are on that same committee, acknowledging the good questions they asked. Burchett, he is just like I do with the Republicans. He's been doing the same thing with Democrats, giving credit where credit is due and respect. And again, I may not agree with Congressman Tim Burchett politically, but I have a high amount of respect for him for keeping it bipartisan and making sure that it doesn't run off the rails into some kind of partisan rancor.
Yeah, and I think that's important that it stays that way too.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that we always have to remember is the UFO subject is going to affect every single person on this planet. It doesn't matter whether you're a communist, a Buddhist, an atheist, a Republican, a liberal, a Democrat, whether you're woke right out of your underwear or whether you're as conservative as can be, or whether you're living in the jungles of Africa or the concrete jungles of New York. Everybody is going to be affected by this topic.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the answer is yes, absolutely. I support the UAP caucus, regardless of party. Any congressman or woman, regardless of party, Republican, Democrat, or anything in between, they're welcome on my show anytime. I will advocate for them on this topic, absolutely, and support their efforts.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We have 2 minutes to go here with you tonight, Matt. And, unfortunately, due to your schedule and my schedule, we definitely do not get to do this as often as we would like to. But, what do you see coming in the next couple of months here as we draw into 2024?
I literally have no idea. Hopefully, this op-ed from David Grush will come out perhaps in February. I'm not sure where the delay is. What you have to look forward to are the videos from the Seoul conference. I suspect those will be coming out in very, very short order. I'm pretty dialed into that, and I would hope that there will be some more whistleblowers that'll come forward. I think Dave Grush was the tip of the iceberg. I hope certainly more will come out, and then my greatest hope, and I hope this comes to fruition, is another pass at NDAA legislation. So maybe the people that help form this legislation now they kind of understand where the left and right bounds are, and maybe they can tighten it up a little bit into something that passes. But who knows? I'm trying to be optimistic about that, but
30 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find your program.
All right, folks. Yeah, so you can find us on Twitter at Good Trouble Show, on YouTube and all the other social media platforms at The Good Trouble Show. And yeah, man, we really we love your audience. You inspired me to get into this game, Dave. Like I said, you were the first show that I ever listened to on this topic, and you got me hooked. And you've also been a great friend and mentor, and really given me great advice. And man, you're a great guy, and I have such respect for what you're doing. And yeah, you're doing just great work. I love your stuff.
Well, it'd just be nice if sometime you come on here with a beard.
Okay, maybe a fake one.
Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show. We'll bring him on as soon as we can find a date. Coming up next, Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. Then Courtney Marcassani has the UFO Report. Spaced Out Radio Hour 3 is next. Great show, Matt. Thank you.
Back at you. I had Michael Masters on a couple days ago, and I went and watched your interview with him. And I was going to play, there was one part where during your interview with him, where he talks about inserting a butt plug. And I don't know if you didn't hear it or if you just purposely glossed over it.
I heard it.
I tried to download the episode because I was going to play it on my show, but I was having internet speed issues. Yeah. He's a hoot. I love that.
I heard he was heartbroken over my extra Temptation Island terrestrials.
I don't know. I don't think he said anything about that. But anyway, I love that thing on your show. He's got like no filter sometime. I totally want to. Yeah, I'd smoke a J with him. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Hey, buddy, you have a great night. Okay.
Thank you. So nice to see you, Dave. Thank you always for having me. Okay.
Always.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Matt Ford, everybody. I'm going to be right back. Don't leave. We got another hour to go. All right. I am back. And hi, Susie B. How are you? And who else has joined us? Jerry Carter. Nice to see you. There's Courtney's Boop. We here. Courtney's wearing some seriously good plaid tonight. Avenger Dogman, how are you? Susie B, are you going to be in Reno? Are you leading the charge once again? Are you creating a new jacket? Yeah, I know. I'm getting sick of the beard. Getting sick of it. I might have to take it off. I know you don't want to see that. Yes, Susie B's going to be in Reno. I love it. Thank you tonight to T-Bone ×3 with a hat trick, Louie with a hat trick, Major Lee, and Karen on her 70th birthday for the super chats. Warden Dragon, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Jennifer Patterson, good evening to you. Here we go with hour 3, everybody.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quag Squad. Quag Squad is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another weird story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Next, we have the case of Patricia Sue Patty Tolhurst. Patricia Patty Tolhurst, a 48-year-old woman who owned Patty Shack restaurant in East Sonora, California, was known for her kind and loving nature. Unfortunately, she faced financial hardships which took a toll on her both physically and mentally. On April 18, 2014, Patty was last seen in Twain Harte, California. However, she was in contact with her friends after that. On April 20th, 2014, she wrote a letter to her friends informing them that she was going to Kennedy Meadows, which is located along the Pacific Crest Trail Desert, and was going to, quote, put her feet in the water, end quote. Kennedy Meadows is often referred to as the Promised Land, as hikers have to hike over 700 miles to reach this beautiful site. When Patty later failed to contact her friends and family, the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office was notified that she was missing and initiated a search. 2 days into the investigation, a clue was discovered. On April 22, 2014, Patty's white Toyota 4Runner was found unoccupied at Donnell Vista Point on Highway 108. Her purse and other personal items were found inside the vehicle. There were no clues as to where Patty might have gone, and the sheriff's office thoroughly searched the surrounding areas. Unfortunately, These searches yielded no results, and as of 2024, Patty remains missing. Patricia Sue Patty Tolhurst is described as a Caucasian female, approximately 5'7" to 5'8" tall, between 120 and 130 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She has a scar on her ankle and a scar on her left cheek that resembles a dimple. Patty was last seen wearing a black pullover top, blue jeans, a brown leather necklace with a charm, and a California State University at Stanislaus 2006 class ring. Anyone with any information regarding Patty's disappearance or current whereabouts is asked to contact the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office at 209-533-5855 and reference case number C14-1184.
Thank you, Steve, for another great story, as we always love kicking off hour number 3 with Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. And it is always good that if you go over to his channel, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Just go to youtube.com/Among the Missing, and you can get more stories just like that. From the mysterious to what is going on today in the UFO world. Here's Courtney Marcassani in the UFO Report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Courtney Marcassani, it is that time of the night to say hello to you and thank you for coming on in. Another busy few days in the UFO world and a few good stories that are out there. How's your weekend been going? I heard the rumor is you have only slept about 28 minutes since this past Friday because all you've been doing is working the phones on UFO stories.
It's been constant. It's been constant through the whole weekend, including today, just all day long. And so I haven't had a chance to catch Rob Heatherly's interview with Matt Ford. So I'm hoping you can bring me up to speed on that. I'm going to watch it tomorrow, but I'm going to rely on you for that part of it. And then hopefully I can do most of the rest.
Well, you know, we'll get to that in a few minutes because I want to start off with this article in the New Yorker where they're looking into UFO stuff and they're wondering, where do people put their attention? And they brought up, for some reason, Enigma Labs. Now, this sounds like a setup to me, okay, that somebody from Enigma Labs probably called the New Yorker and said, hey, come on in. We want to show you a few things. Let's talk about some UFOs and let's talk about, you know, how we can report them. What did you think about that?
I thought that it was another shakedown for money. I'm just going to be real brutally honest here. You have a CEO for a corporation, no first name to the CEO in the article. She's listed as A, first of all. When is that acceptable? So the CEO is not named. We don't know who she is, but yet we're supposed to believe in Enigma as the top tech organization, and we should all put our reports into them. So that's the first thing that makes me skeptical. The second thing is that they listed themselves as the Shazam of the skies, which I think is a really groovy term for young people, and they're going to be into it. But I think it's also like a bait and switch, because at the same time throughout the article, they're basically putting down experiencers. They want to stay away from the people who are looking for Martians and little green men. They literally used the word crazy in the article. So you're not going to get any respect from me as a reader. And actually, you know, I used to like the New Yorker, and now I'm down on them.
Well, one of the things that I found out, and I don't know if you knew this, but Matt Ford actually brought this up, that the head of Enigma Labs, otherwise known as Alex Smith, okay, she was apparently at the Soul Foundation conference.
Yep.
And she was walking around with her name tag on, with her first name showing, but she had whited out her last name. Like people didn't know who she was. This just seems to get more and more ridiculous with this group. And this goes back to Alejandro Rojas's first tweet for Enigma Labs, where he says, "We aren't government affiliated, but we're looking for government contracts."
No, they said that. They just as much as said that in the article. First of all, I didn't want to out Alex Smith, but I knew that's who she was. And I try to be respectful about who people are when they don't want their identities to be out there in the first place. So I'm curious about that. I think that's a mysterious thing. Why would she want her name as CEO to be out there as Enigma Labs CEO and founder when she's talking about how great their tech is? And then the other thing she said in the article is that they want to normalize this and make it like any other type of subculture, like the Burning Man people or people who are going in the wellness space to yoga retreats. And I'm thinking to myself, this is quite a spin. It reminds me of the old spin doctors who used to take, political campaigns and like make these like keywords, right? Like these really digestible keywords. And you see them nowadays, even still being used in political campaigns. But that's really what it reminded me of, is the spin. Spin doctors are writing that. Anybody
Yeah.
who's looking that and not thinking about it in that way, I don't think they're thinking critically about how these people are positioning themselves in the marketplace. And they are looking for government contracts. And they said that in the article.
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody who trusts Enigma Labs, I don't usually put down a lot of people because I think everybody deserves a chance. I used to be very hard on MUFON. Okay. And I got to know a lot of good people from the board of directors on down on MUFON who really opened my eyes to what they were accomplishing. Look, there's a lot of things I don't agree with MUFON. I don't think they should be lobbying in Washington, D.C. I think they should be the voice of the people when they have the database to do it. But you know what? Dave McDonald gets paid a lot of money in order to run MUFON and to do it his way. Do I agree with it? No. But I also know there's a lot of good people with good hearts within MUFON who are doing their best to bring this subject out properly. But when I look at Enigma Labs and the secrecy behind everything, where everything just seems like it's some sort of spy agency that we're not even allowed to know. I mean, they're going by Agent K and Agent Q and Agent X. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Who do you think you are? You're brand new to this community. You need this community in order to survive. You don't have any reports. That's why you keep searching for reports. The only reports you have are from people who you've sucked in to giving the reports to, like Ben Hansen or like Alex Dietrich, who is or Rich Hoffman, who are, advisors, unpaid advisors to Enigma Labs. I mean, to me, the whole thing is incredulous, and I wouldn't want my information tied with that. What are you doing with it? If you're not
I,
going to be open and
I agree.
upfront,
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you, Dave. I agree with you. And you have to look at what happened with MUFON, right? You have to look at the history of the reports, how experiencer reports were loaded up. Sometimes there's medical information involved with that. And, when the 22 million was handed over to Bass, that was one of the organizations he went to get the records and pay for records for the reports. And that's personal information, data. And so I have the same suspicions about Enigma that you do, and I caution people and warn them off. But when you read the article, their tech looks really sexy. I mean, I'm serious. They have goggles that can look at the sky. They've got this upload that tells you what's there. So if you have a false report, you're not embarrassed by it. I mean, some of it I was trying to read with neutrality to see the way they are positioning themselves in the marketplace. And it does sound real cool and hip and all of that. But most of the people, I think they're going to go to Enigma and report. They don't know the history. They don't know the history of MUFON. They don't know the grievances that have happened and their real issues. And who's funding it? And if there is a government contract, how's that going to work? And how's it going to work in terms of data and data analysis? So we have to keep a close eye on them. We can't just turn away completely. That's my opinion. We have to kind of watch them and see which way they move and see what they're doing with their data.
absolutely, you're completely right. You are completely right, and I think it's something that you know I caution, like Matt Ford tonight said, he was very excited when he learned about Enigma Labs. And he
Yeah.
signed up, he put the app on their phone, and then he heard us here on Spaced Out Radio bringing up the concerns about it. And it made him go, uh-oh, what am I getting into? And he started looking into it. Guess what he did? He removed
What?
the app from his phone. And shortly after he removed the app from his phone, his Facebook got pinged saying, "We'd love to know about your UAP experience. Please download the app to Enigma Labs and fill it out."
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is a bit of a prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's backdoor stuff, that they go and take your data from your phone. And if you don't have super security measures in there, they're going to go ahead, just like TikTok, right? And other data systems that go into your phone and pull information out, So I would be suspect of all of that. Not just Enigma, but it seems to be the way of the app. And that's just one of the ways that they use data harvesting from people's personal phones, and they're allowed to do it. So I feel like that is definitely suspect. I've already said in times past my own personal feelings about Peter Thiel. And I know that he was somehow involved with, Enigma Labs. And so I'm not a big fan, because of some of the other things he's done in business. So I really feel like people need to raise their awareness about Enigma Labs and what they're doing and what their purpose is. And how does that app affect your own personal data? That would be the biggest thing. What can they harvest out of your personal data files?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, just be careful. I mean, this is for the public listening here. Okay. When you have people who are refusing to say who works for them, where their information is going, when they collect your information and your story, that you have given them carte blanche to do whatever they want with it, when you fill out one of these applications for UFOs, okay, they're asking for your name, your full name, okay, your phone number, your address, potentially your age, your email address. They are asking for everything they need to track you. Now, I'm not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, even though I know my cell phone is bugged. Okay. But when we don't know where that information is going, and likely because Enigma wants government contracts, it's going to be going, that information, your information, is going to be going to military and alphabet agencies. They don't need to know your stuff. They don't need to know where you live, how you got there, what you saw, how many children you have. They don't need to know. And that's what I don't trust.
It's our opinion, right? I mean, it's our opinion. That's our right to talk about our opinion on the show. And so I want people to know is that, this is Dave's and my opinion of what we think about Enigma. And we're not trying to in any way, be negative. It's just things of putting things together and knowing the history. And the thing about Enigma is they're coming out there as like the new Shazam of the skies. And it's like the younger generation, they don't know all that history, and it's important. So it's also partly like, public awareness campaign, like know your app, know your developer, know their intentions and purposes behind it. That's important.
I don't like it. It's so dirty to me, and knowing that, they make fun of experiencers, but they want your sightings. They want your experiences, and they're talking out of both sides of their mouths.
In the
Give us
article, they're basically like slapping us upside the head, like douche, douche, douche. Yeah, and then give us your information.
Yeah.
Experiencers.
We don't like
So,
you.
yeah.
We think you're a crockpot. Okay. We think that you are absolutely stupid for coming out publicly and talking about this. We think you're a liar because you never saw what you thought you saw. But you know what? That's all secondary. Fill out our report, and we're going to track everything about you. And don't forget to put your personal information in there and hopefully the winning lottery numbers. Okay, so that way we can get back to you. And what we do with your stuff, don't worry about that. We'll take care of it. And anything that you send over to us, don't worry. We will use it for other reasons as well.
Yeah, well, I'm super skeptical because I have friends whose files and information went from MUFON over to, in that data transfer when it was being done, backhandedly and not legally. And so I know that there's been a precedent set that we should be concerned about those kind of issues, especially as experiencers, right?
Experiencers are very naive. That's the problem that we have. And why are they naive? It's because we just want somebody to listen to us. Okay, not us in the UFO community, but I'm saying, that single mother at home or that elderly grandfather who's been taken their entire lives and just didn't want to talk about it. It's been their PTSD their entire lives, and they don't want to talk about it. And then they figure, well, maybe I should report it. They learn about this Enigma Labs and they get screwed over by it. Okay. Enigma does not have the public's interest in its vision. They just want the data. That's it.
You are reading my mind tonight, because that was what I was thinking about today when I was thinking about some of these issues. And I was thinking about the historical trauma that people don't seem to recognize, except to make fun of it, like in movies in Independence Day when they make fun of Randy Quaid's character, right? And it's the kooky father who's an alcoholic, and he's the one everybody makes fun of, and he's the local town joke. And it's like, so we've all seen and heard these jokes for so long, and that's what is the most disrespectful thing about the Enigma Labs article. It does the same thing. It plays off the same exact cliches that have always been said when they are saying that they actually want to change the game and up level. Well, I don't see any up leveling going on when you're actually preying off of people who have been dealing with this historical trauma, and sometimes in their family for multiple generations. Yeah, that doesn't impress me much. Quote Shania Twain, like she's a good old Canadian, like that doesn't impress me much, Enigma. If you want to up level your game, you should give credibility to people who have had historical traumas and have been dealing with this in their families for generations. How about that? That would be game changing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And the sad part about it is, the way they are going after and pressuring longtime researchers and journalists to join their team, some as much as six figures, in order to get their information that they've had. Okay, I take David Marler, for instance. They went after David Marler hard to get all of his database, as well as what he just picked up from APRO. And he won't give it up. Thank goodness that we have people like David Marler in this field who can see the big picture. And I can applaud that. But you look at people like Ben Hansen, from all the television shows, he turned over all of his information to Enigma Labs.
It's really interesting. It is. It's really interesting when you start to hear the personal stories of people. And I've been sent information today about people that were involved with Enigma Labs, and showing me actual screenshots of some of these people and the way they've disparaged experiencers, professional people, to their face, and just said horrendous things. And I'm thinking to myself, these are the people that are going to be Enigma Labs leadership.
That's right. And don't forget, one of their people also runs one of the largest UFO conferences in the world. In the international.
See, I don't know all the inside players, but we should do an org chart. We should do an org chart for people. I've been wanting to do that for a while, not just for Enigma Labs, but for the whole thing. I call it my murder board, because it's all of the figureheads, it's all their research.
When we return on Spaced Out Radio and the UFO Report with Courtney Marcassani, we are going to get into some good old news about Hey, I'll make that Sean Kirkpatrick, Courtney's favorite. Let's fire her up next on Spaced Out Radio. Alejandro Rojas runs the International UFO Congress in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, I didn't know if that was him or not, but I did listen to his interview so long ago with Eric Davis on Open Minds. And, you know, that just lofted him. That interview lofted him, you know. That one interview, I think, did it for him. It was a career maker. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, it was like Anderson Cooper and Katrina, you know, he just got lofted into Enigma and everything. But, you know, he's not done interviews, not that I've seen since. He's pretty much behind Enigma now. So, you know, I mean, those things are career makers for people. And it's interesting to watch the connections and the networks and who gets elevated into the next level. And then who, you know, other people who are left behind who do just as good work and, you know, on the ground.
I got in a lot of trouble with that group because everybody who worked for Open Minds started calling themselves journalists and investigative journalists. So Alejandro was calling himself an investigative journalist. Then he brought on Jason McClellan, who was calling himself an investigative journalist, and then a UFO journalist. And then Ryan Sprague, he was calling himself an investigative journalist and a UFO journalist. And both McClellan and actually all three of them got a lot of television appearances on documentaries calling themselves investigative journalists when they've never worked a day in journalism. Okay,
I
not
know,
one.
and I think some of that, I brought that up the last time that we talked about this. I think one of the reasons why they're doing that is I think it's because that they're shielding themselves legally. If they get evidence from some of these compartmentalized programs, they could be legally liable for getting them and putting them out in the public. And so I think a lot of this investigative journalist isn't just self-titled to have street credibility. I think it's also on some level for those who are educated and talking to lawyers. I think it's a way to protect themselves legally.
Well,
Because otherwise, if you don't have that shielding, you could get in trouble, right?
You can by using the word researcher. Right. So the point that I was getting at is I started calling them out as lying on their resumes. And well, word got around. I'm not invited ever to the International UFO Congress.
Well, you know, that's okay. I think sometimes, you know, getting ejected out of those communities, you know, means a certain kind of badge of honor and a badge of courage, to be honest, because it just means that you're willing to ask hard questions and not necessarily just go along with the status quo.
I will say this to Ryan's credit. Okay. Ryan no longer calls himself a journalist or an investigative journalist. And I'm very proud that he actually saw the proper side. You know, he's an author. He has a great podcast, and I'm glad that he saw the other side. The other two, I don't know.
Well, as Grant Cameron always says, you know, this community eats its own. And so it's kind of a vulgar way of looking at, you know, the infighting and the backbiting that goes on, but it's actually a pretty accurate term. You know, my yoga teacher, she used to once say it's a self-weeding garden is what she used to call it. And so I think the people who kind of work together and help one another and vibe together, you know, the ones who are positive and helpful, they're going to weed their garden and they're going to elevate to another level, regardless of who their
Very true.
network is.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, so we just did the nice rundown on Enigma, and I did have that read before you sent it to me. So I feel like I'm about, you know, ahead of the curve still a little bit. But I couldn't get to the Heatherly interview. So were you able to watch that yet or no?
I watched about 3/4 of it. And actually, if you want the Cole's Notes version, listen to hour 2 of tonight's show.
Okay. I'll do
So
that.
there is this group that they're a 50c3 club that's tied to Skeptical Inquirer.
Oh.
Okay, that
Yeah.
they are they are going in and there's a team of them that's going in and editing creating and editing all Wikipedia pages to do with pseudoscience.
Okay. Well, I had
including
heard some rumblings, I had heard some rumblings that they had some solid evidence of tampering with Wikipedia. And the major concern was that they took down David Grush's webpage, that he had his own individual webpage and they took it down somehow. It mysteriously disappeared. Did that get brought up at all?
I don't know about that part. Hold on, we got 5 seconds here. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio and the UFO Report is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. If you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives. They're always free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with Courtney Marcassani and the UFO Report continuing. Courtney, thank you for being here once again. And a big story coming out on Liberation Times that the former UFO office director's opinions draw scrutiny over impartiality and investigation handling. Boy, your friend, and I know you two are close, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who just left the job at the end of December, really seems to not be very well liked by anyone in the UFO community or people looking into UFOs in Congress.
Well, it's not just me that's critical of him. And I have to say, looking at his comments about coming out and saying, oh, poor, pitiful me, I couldn't do good work because this whole community is just so incendiary. And, he just put a bunch of claims out there. And it's like, you know what? Don't be Aero director if you don't want to have to deal with the UFO community or answer tough questions or take evidence from the UAP task force and then deny it. So, yeah, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to deal with the criticism. You have to be able to deal with people's requests for information. And so this whole thing that he just came out with, I mean, it's really, like I said, it's a poor, pitiful me thing. And then don't take the job at Aero and then come out and have an axe to grind about the general public wanting to know the truth. That's my take. I know it's bitter and it's scathing, but yeah, don't go whining about it to the public. Do your job.
Well, a recent op-ed written by Christopher Sharp on this basically looks down the lineage of Dr. Kirkpatrick and his own op-ed that he wrote for Scientific American, where basically he threw everybody, including whistleblower David Grush, under the bus, saying about Grush, our efforts were ultimately overwhelmed by sensational but unsupported claims that ignored contradictory evidence, yet captured the attention of policymakers and the public, driving legislative battles and dominating the public narrative, which basically said that Grush never, ever contacted the Aero program about being a witness. But Grush countered that in front of Congress, saying that he tried to get a hold of Dr. Kirkpatrick and the heads of Aero to talk about his story many a time, and they never got back to him. I mean,
I was there. He was under oath. It was testimony to Congress that he said he reached out to them. He contacted them. He reached out to their office and they refused to speak with him. And he had evidence to share. And so there are loggerheads. And that's kind of what I'm seeing, not just with Sean Kirkpatrick's, what he's putting out in the media, but it's just the way the narratives are shaping up. There's this big schism or division between these two core groups, and I think that's what it is that we're seeing play out right now in the media.
There was one point of this article that I loved about it, and Christopher Sharp interviews Lester Nair, the founder of the UAP Caucus, a group dedicated to raising awareness and advocating for action among congressional members. Commented, he says, it's ironic. The Department of Defense, often accused of hiding UAP information now, through Kirkpatrick, is actively discouraging Congress from finding evidence and potential whistleblowers from coming forward. History reminds us, as with the Church Committee, that a thorough, transparent investigation is imperative now more than ever. Do you think that Kirkpatrick was not much more than just somebody who carried a broom to try and sweep the UFO story back under the rug?
Look, I liked him. When he came in, I really liked Kirkpatrick. And so this is me admitting that, I've kind of done an about face on him, but the only reason why I have is because he looked serious. He looked like the guy for the job. He had done other organizations where he had done leadership, come in, started things, done a really compelling job in these various heads of government programs that he had led, which seemed like a good fit for Arrow. But watching the way things shook out and the way he positioned himself and the way that he worked between the public and Arrow, it seemed more like this was turning out to be more like a Blue Book thing or a Robertson panel thing. And so he was basically saying all of these unidentifieds are prosaic, that we can find an example for them, or we can figure this out scientifically. And that's not true. That's not true. We know it from the UAP task force that wasn't true. And so I think that the Church Committee would be a great idea. It's been brought up several times over UAPs. And the Church Committee, if that would be brought about, would be a really great thing to do. I doubt that will come about, but I think it's interesting that that's being mentioned again over Arrow and Kirkpatrick's leaving and going to Oak Ridge, right? So now he's going to Oak Ridge. And so you have to look at these way these people move and where they end up. And it tells you a story in and of itself.
Yeah, I can see that being an enigma of itself, pun intended. I mean, do we look at this Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick then as somebody who will fade off into the UFO sunset, or do we have a lot more of him to hear from in the next, say, 3 to 6 months?
We have to hear from him right now because there's an interim person in there right now. And while he's saying, hey, I'm open to questions, I'm willing to do, transitional help on this position right now, he doesn't know it like Kirkpatrick does. And so Kirkpatrick is getting all this criticism because of what happened in Congress, and Grush is testifying. And so he's, dealing with all the slings and arrows coming at him because everybody's saying he's lying. And so he has to defend himself, essentially. So I think we're going to hear from him until they develop or who they name the permanent, because right now it's just an interim person. So it's essentially transitional. And then I think he will definitely fade off. Give it 6 months and he'll fade off.
I'm wondering if we are going to see another acronym come out of all this after the failure of Arrow. I mean, at some point they're going to change the jerseys, they're going to change the name again, move the UFO franchise using a sporting term. But I mean, I'm just wondering if Arrow is going to be long-term or short-term, much like UAPTF was. I mean,
I brought this up. Yeah.
I mean, they barely had T-shirts printed up before they were off to Arrow.
I think it's going to widen. This is just one of my predictions. I brought this up to a couple key players in the whole political arena. I brought this up to Danny Sheehan. I brought it up to a couple other people that I wonder if, because we saw it be the UAP task force, right? Then we saw Arrow, the all anomaly domain office. And so I think that what might happen is, I think it might have broader powers, because we've already heard that they might do a select committee. We also heard they might do a joint select committee. I don't think that's going to happen. But what I've suggested, and I think might be warranted is an interagency, and either an interagency council where you have these, stove top or funneled programs siloed and bringing things together like an interagency council. We might see something like that, and I think that would be warranted. I don't know that we'll see another UAP task force or another arrow. I think it might go wider. Just a prediction. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I see something like that happening too. But I mean, I just hope that whoever takes that job next will literally start to maybe take the job a little bit more seriously. But I mean, you can only go as serious as they allow you to, because in the
Right.
end, it isn't about you, it isn't about me, it isn't about the next person in charge. It's about how you can work best for the United States government.
Well, and the whole part of the Schumer Rounds amendment that was put into place is this whole recordization and records. And so that's going to be a part of this. And that's what I'm saying might lead to another cross agency group, because all the recordization that's going to be coming out from classified to the public. And, there was real clear language around that. If it was 25 years or older, it has to be released in its entirety. But if there's anything that has still has to be classified, Biden can keep it classified, and so can those intelligence groups that are in charge of it. So in that way, it's still at loggerheads, because those levels of heads can keep it classified. But if it's 25 years or older, it has to be declassified and put into the public domain. So I think that that's going to lead to more interest and also possibly interagency support.
Speaking of Chris Sharp, he wrote an op-ed piece supporting the video of the jellyfish, believing that it's not balloons, it's not smudging, it's not anything to do with anything else other than a UFO, or what he likes to call a UAP. And he credits the work of Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp for bringing the video out, and feels that that they haven't been treated very well over this latest video. What's your thoughts?
I saw some expert in one of my groups, in one of the research groups. I saw an expert talking about it, the infrared and the temperature changes, and that it was most likely the reflection of a mylar, some type of mylar over over like a drone, like what you were saying. And so I think it's interesting that Christopher Sharp would come out and defend it. I didn't know that he had done that. I think that the personalities that are getting these leaked videos should be careful, because one of the things that I think is happening is there's so much criticism happening with Corbell, love him or hate him. One false move and he can just be taken down, right? And so I think that you're seeing the next, Grant Cameron actually talks about this, you're seeing the next group of individuals who are being replaced, or who are being, handed the baton essentially. And one of our friends actually said this to me yesterday. She's like, don't you think that Jeremy Corbell looks like the next Tom DeLonge, or Tom DeLonge 2.0? And that hadn't occurred to me, but I was thinking about it and I was like, on point. It does seem that way. And so you have to think about it, is Grant always talks about it as, is it just disclosure or is it confirmation? Right. And so when she brought that up to me, I was like, confirmation. We're still in confirmation with that kind of thing. And I think that if Jeremy Corbell is getting support, people ought to be really careful, because who knows what the source is. And I would be concerned about Chris going to the mat for him, because he's done just such a great job in his reporting with Liberation Times. He basically went from very little known to now being the primary source for news for the community. So good for him. I just wouldn't want to see him taken down because he backed something that wasn't legitimate.
Oh, I fully agree with that. Fully agree. And let's hope that he is continuing to write. We do need positive stories about this. I'm not saying whether or not the aliens are positive, but Chris Sharp goes by more of a politically centric, understanding of this subject. And I don't know. I mean, it brings into into the whole foray again about Jeremy Corbell and this movie director's sights on being one of the top 3 people in ufology as a citizen. It's
Well,
very
yeah,
strange.
and I think there is a very clear calculus about some of that. And so you've got to look at people like John Greenwald, and his expertise was the FOIA requests, right? But then he started to venture into opinions. He started to venture into, ideas that were really outside of his wheelhouse. And so it's interesting because you see these people who are really good at what they do. And then if they venture out of that, they can kind of be weakened by going out of their like super skill set. So it's a cautionary tale of what could happen if you venture too far away from your love or your passion or your skill set. So with Jeremy Corbell, I'm not exactly sure why he's doing this. If he's being asked to step up and be the next like Tom DeLonge figure, but that didn't end well for him. And so, he needs to hopefully be self-aware enough to look around and see that this doesn't end well when you're the Messiah.
Yeah, and is that a position you would want?
No. Who would want the attention? Who would want that kind of pressure? I mean, I always love Billie Jean King's comment about pressure is a privilege, because when you have that much pressure on you and you're in the limelight, it is a privilege to be in that position. But when it comes to UFO issues, no. Why would you want to bring that kind of chaos onto your life? So I think you have to wonder to yourself, why? Why is he doing that? Why does he want to be elevated? Now, somebody made the comment recently, well, he pulled off this whole congressional hearing. Now, he didn't do it all by himself. Okay. That's the martyr thing, right? That's the Messiah thing, that he's done this all by himself. And I'm sure he advised people in Congress, but he wasn't the only one. So we need to be real clear about the things that we're saying and martyring people and Messiah them. Be careful.
5 minutes ago, before we have to say goodnight to you and our lovely audience tonight on Spaced Out Radio, what have we missed tonight? What's some of the stuff you've been working on?
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff. Some stuff I can talk about. I'm still heading probably to Washington D.C. To start talking with people and legislators again about the statute that they're working on. That's another addendum essentially to the NDAA to put some things back in that were lost. So I want to touch base with some people about that and find out what's going on the Hill. And then I'm writing a story for us, for Spaced Out Radio about the whistleblowers and what may have changed in the NDAA that some people might not have caught. That's really important, and we need to stay on top of that story at Spaced Out Radio. It's coming out.
And we should say that very soon we're going to be re-adding into our Newswire section that you and I, and we're going to see if we can find some other people who want to write about UFOs or Bigfoot to come on in and create a little bit of a journalistic side to the website again. And you're going to be the lead on that because you're an amazing writer, Courtney. You really are.
Well, thanks. I love it. And I think that if we do that and we expand, we could, carve out a nice niche for ourselves in the community where people can read about our perspective and our take on things. It just provides another voice.
From an unbiased point of view. That's the thing. Unbiased point of view.
Well, you know how dangerous biases are. So you have to try to be as unbiased as you can.
Absolutely. And, are you going to let us know any of the secrets you've been talking about this weekend? Because I don't even know. Give some juice.
The juice. What is the juice? Well, I found out that Nick Pope was affiliated with Enigma, and I had just heard talk with that. I hadn't had that substantiated, and so I just found that out today. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is interesting. He's just another charismatic figure, and it was basically upbraided by the community, but yet he's also an Enigma. So that's a little thing I learned today. There's so much coming out. There's so much happening. I mean, it's just a flood of it. And so, that's one little thing I can share.
Well, that's nice.
People
I
ought
can share.
to know that.
I will share
Yes.
this. This is the second weekend in a row that I've got a strange message. And you happen to get the same strange message too.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. Well,
And
and
I'm
my
not
phone's been going down. Anytime I talk about the whistleblowers to anybody on the phone, my phone immediately drops.
well, I know this. I'm not going to mention the person's name just yet because I haven't talked to them, but I did give them my phone number. And I know they've seen my phone number. And that all this person has been saying, excuse me, is that he goes, as far as whom have I seen, in one word, extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is a person who I looked up online with a couple other people, and a very intense scientist
Oh,
that
yeah. This
nobody's ever
guy's
heard.
connected to so many, well, I have one mutual connection with him, and that guy is, he's legitimate. And so, but this guy is a bit mysterious. So I would really like to hear more about his story and know more
Oh,
about him.
oh, I definitely have to learn about this guy. Yeah. It's amazing what happens when you open up the Pandora's box, is how many people all of a sudden start to come out and chat with you. And eventually, see, one thing I want people to know, Courtney and I hate playing this not naming names thing. We hate it. But we also understand that people have to come out at their own time, at their own pace. And that is the unfortunate part of what we do. But our job is to give them an element of comfort so that when they do decide to come out, they know that Spaced Out Radio and Courtney and Dave and others who work for us, okay, are there for their best interest at heart. And that is to tell their story from their perspective. And that's what we're trying to do. So it may sound vague right now, but we always hope that this will turn into that little bit of a baby step that moves us closer to disclosure. Courtney Marcassani, thank you for another great UFO report. We'll talk to you in a couple of nights' time. And
Thanks for having me.
thank you to everybody tuning us in tonight for a great show on UFOs as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking us out with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
So will we get to sing Bumblefoot in Reno? Like, is that going to be an option? Will I get to be on stage and be like, na, 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 na.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have the best theme song in our genre.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, heck yes. Heck yes. Hands down. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then we could do like bang our heads like 80s, like the 80s rockers that we
Oh
are,
yeah.
right? Like I know you know what head banging is, Dave. I know you
Oh
know.
yeah.
I see you.
The greatest moment of my life was headbanging with my son last year at his first concert.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. What
Yeah.
was his first? What was his first
A
concert?
Swedish metal band called Avatar.
Ooh,
Wait,
Avatar, sexy.
here, 1 second
Mine
here.
was Bon Jovi.
I've never
Bon
seen Bon
Jovi.
Jovi.
Oh my God. It was my first concert, and I went with my friend Hope Stone and Joey Lavernick in his car. And oh yeah, that was quite the show.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Where is
That's what you get in Pennsylvania. But I will say I saw Guns N' Roses at Hershey. So that was pretty sweet.
it? Here you go.
Let me see. I gotta put my glasses on.
Oh shoot. Sorry. I gotta restart this. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, with the hair. Yes, that's classic. That's classic headbanging. What's up with the
Oh yeah.
Swedes?
Look, he's got the horns up.
Avatar.
He had the horns up there and everything.
That's sweet. That is so cool.
That guitarist right there, his name's Tim. He came up to Colby, my boy, after the show, and he's like, "Did you have a good time, little man? Did you have fun?" And even the lead singer, Johannes, he came up about 4 or 5 times during the show to check on Colbs and just said, "Hey, do you need some? Are you doing good? Do you need some water? Can I get you a bottle of water? Are you having fun?"
Oh God, that's sweet. That's very kind.
Extremely kind.
God,
Extremely.
when I went to the Bon Jovi and the GNR, it was like, the crowd, it was like just survive, just survive the pit. Yeah, that
Worst
kind of
pit.
thing.
The worst pit I was ever in was Pantera and Skid Row back in 1992.
Skid Row opened for Bon Jovi for my concert. Skid Row opened for them. That's hilarious. Yeah,
My first,
Pantera.
my
Pantera
first
was
ever concert in
intense.
1989 was Skid Row opening up for Aerosmith.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a good show.
Yeah, well then the 90s came, and then I went through my whole like Pearl Jam years, and so
Oh,
that was another era.
never could handle Pearl Jam.
Yeah. They had some
Uh,
intense pits too, but I stayed out of there. I was mostly away from that.
I was very much more of a Soundgarden kind of guy.
Oh, I was just listening to Soundgarden today. Oh my God. I hope that when we're in Reno, we get to listen to some good music together. Now that I know some of your music tastes, that's awesome. I love Soundgarden too. I saw him, and his mother did a reading for me. Chris Cornell's mother did like a numerology reading for me in Seattle when I lived there.
Really?
Yes, and she was good. She was very cool, very down to earth. Yeah. Yeah, Chris Cornell's mom was a numerologist. I mean, she probably still does stuff like that if she's still hanging in there.
Family friends of ours in Seattle, we'd known them since the 70s. The one son, Brian, was a very talented musician, but decided that his girlfriend was more important than work. They ended up getting married and all this kind of stuff. But who were his friends? Kurt Cobain and all that crowd. They were all hanging out together.
Yeah, that was a very, very rich time in that area. I was lucky. I didn't get there in that time, but I got there a little bit after in the 90s. Later.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we got to talk about some fun stuff tonight and think about singing in Reno.
Yes, we're gonna have some fun in Reno.
Yeah.
And wait till you meet Susie B. I'm just going to forewarn you about Susie B. Number one, she gives some of the best hugs I've ever had. And number two, her laugh and her funness is like infectious. So be
Hey,
very
that's cool.
careful of
That's
Susie B.
cool. I'm down with that. Susie B, I got to tell you, I'm class partier of my class, 1992. I won class partier right here. So if there was a party, I was there. I'm mellowed out now, but I'm always down for a good hug and a good party. So I will be there, and I will be helpful in the party joy.
Susie B actually made her own SOR jacket last year through a sequins. She had an alien.
Was
head.
it bedazzled? Was it bedazzled?
She had like an alien head on the front, and on the back, it's like SOR fan party with a giant Bigfoot on the back. It was awesome.
That's so groovy. That's so groovy. I have friends who do the whole bedazzling thing. It's an art form.
If I was a rock star, I would totally wear that on stage.
Dude, I could see that. I could see you with like some leather pants with some like bedazzled squatch feet, some bedazzled squatch feet going down the legs.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you need a custom pair of those for for Reno. All right. Well, what a fun night. And I do have to tell you, I got some feedback about my comment about Sean Kirkpatrick can bite my hockey puck or my hockey stick. I heard about that. They thought it was pretty funny.
In a good way or a bad way?
Oh, hilarious. They were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. That was hilarious. I was like, well, sometimes some funny things come out during the SOR news hour.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to call it the night here too.
Right on.
Davey's got to get ready for work in the morning. Thank you and happy birthday to Karen, Louie with a hat trick, T-Bone with a hat trick, Major Lee, Deb, and Jennifer. And remember, if you haven't signed up for the SOR fan party in Reno just yet, please do so at info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. We want you all there because we do all of this for you guys. And remember, reserve your tickets for $100 today, and we'll make sure that very soon you get some tickets that will come out to your door, okay? And or to your email, rather. But, go sign up. We want to see you all there. And we'll talk to you in a couple nights, Courtney. See you later. Bye-bye, everyone.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.